Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is our first episode. We're going to help you guys get to know us a little better, introduce you to why we've decided to start the Fashion Rewrite, what the vision is behind it, what the dream is with it, all the things. This is just like a little teaser episode of things that might be included. If you have questions and things, we will be doing Ask Me Anything episodes where you can submit your questions. If there's hot topics, we're going to be covering those. But this is just a little something of what you might be getting. Before we get too far into it, I am one of your co-hosts, Lucretia. I have always been fashionista, I guess you could say. I was the biggest tomboy in school, but then I would wear dresses and my dresses with my running shoes and run around. And I could get grass stains out of anything because I was so fall prone that I figured out how to clean all my clothes. And then I was in high school and I was like, oh, I really want to go into business. And then halfway through business school, I realized I really wanted to go into fashion. So I ended up actually going into fashion and getting, on top of my international business and marketing degree, my fashion merchandising and marketing degree. So totally love fashion, especially the accessibility side, because I am an ambulatory wheelchair user. So that means that sometimes I'm fully mobile and sometimes I need to use the wheelchair. And I don't need to use it all the time, but I use it more for amusement parks or like big outings, the zoo. I'm going to be using it for things where I don't want to fatigue as fast. Then one of the main reasons I got the wheelchair when I did was because my neurologist was worried that if I got pregnant, the size of my belly would throw off my balance. So then I wouldn't be able to walk as well and be as balanced and as safe. Newsflash, I am actually pregnant. At the time of this recording, I'm 22 weeks. I am still mobile, although I am planning to use the wheelchair for a couple events just for that fatigue factor and just to be a little bit safer. But that was a big surprise. Don't need the wheelchair for that. So that on the wheelchair front, that's a surprise. The pregnancy was a surprise. It's a whole thing. So all that I find, because my chair is a manual and a power chair, but I still need to have my hands available to use the wheels and stuff, that I have been adapting a lot of my clothes, just like everyday normal people, non-adaptive specific clothes, to work for my wheelchair. So that's been one of my things and passion projects and just different things that I do. One day I will probably have a fashion line that does all this for you, because that is my big dream, is to create like adaptive fashion that fits for you. And there's so many companies that are really trying hard at it, some that are hitting the mark, some that aren't. We'll totally get into that in all of these podcasts. There's so much to say about it, but there's also so much I want to say to you guys about how you feel in your clothes. And I'll just leave you with this one little tidbit. When I ended up finding out that I was pregnant and everything, everybody was like, oh, don't buy maternity clothes. You don't need them. Don't go waste your money. Just wear the next size up. And I don't know if it's because I'm a fashionista, because with wearing assisted devices like AFOs and twister cables, I always had to give up fashion and sometimes wear like clothes that were bigger because that's how I fit around the waistband of the twister cables. I wore jeans that were probably 3 or 4 sizes too big because on either side of my hips I had like metal bars sticking out that far. And I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's just because of my fashion background, but I tried the no buying maternity clothes thing. I hated it. Seriously hated it. I bought my first pair of maternity leggings. I put them on and I instantly felt so much better. I also bought 2 pairs of denim maternity jeans. Felt so much better in wearing them. So people said don't waste your money, but I'm here to say do what feels good for you. That is probably one of our biggest takeaways that we want you to walk away from with this podcast and what we tell you, what we share with you, and like things that we're going to be talking about is do what makes you feel good, because things that are accessible for me and things that I like, you might not like, but you might like other things that I don't like. But if it makes you feel good, how you feel in what you wear and like how you go through life, it makes the whole, like the world of difference. It boosts your confidence. That confidence shines through. You're a happier person. You're able to tackle things more. There's so many things. So do what makes you feel good, because I cannot tell you how good I feel when I put on that pair of like maternity leggings or maternity jeans or all of those things, because like I just feel I'm suddenly put together. Otherwise I feel frumpy and blah, and so many things we could get into into. And I'm not going to get into all of it right now because I don't want to take up all your time on this like teaser episode. But I've worn like jeans that really don't flatter me when I'm standing up, but they work when I'm in my chair. So I've kept them because they work for certain things. You wouldn't catch me wearing them if I was walking around. And so we'll get into all that and how like things fit and different designers and things that we've been doing. That's just my little piece. Do what makes you feel good. If you're listening to this and you're like, that is not me, that is totally fine. You will find something else that works for you. But we're just here to tell you what works for us, share some insight, be a sounding board, and want us to try things or want to share some information with us. We're totally open to it. Ask us a question, anything. I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to throw it over to my co-host, Kimberly, and let her take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Kimberly. And before I start with my bio, let me just say I was a tomboy growing up too. So I think that's hilarious that you both went from tomboy to fashionista. So, yeah, growing up, I did not, I was always playing video games, not really caring about what I wore. And then when I hit junior high and like find it. So I'd find what would work, but I wouldn't feel 100% me, 100% comfortable. And it was just so irritating because I'd always have people like, oh, wearing pants is so much easier as a wheelchair user. It's easier for people to help you and all the things. And I'm like, granted, yes, that was probably true, but I was like, I don't feel comfortable. And honestly, high school, I was like, no, I don't want to feel so different from everybody else. I want to wear the stylish clothes and all these things. And I was finding things that I could wear, but at the same time, I would look around at my classmates and be like, I want to wear that style, and I could not find. To me, that is one of the biggest things. Honestly, I've pushed my independence because I was like, if I can learn how to do this independently, then that means that nobody can tell me, oh, wear this so that it's easier for your aide to help you because I'm doing it. So as long as I can do it, then nobody else's opinion matters.
Yes. Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, that's a little bit about that. But my whole fashion story is I leaned into the whole learning what worked for me, what I liked, and even when I did do that, there were certain things that just didn't work, and I'd have to accept, okay, maybe this isn't gonna work for my disabled body, and that was disappointing. Then when I got to college, I had a conversation with someone about fashion, and honestly, I was prepared for her to completely ask me about my wheelchair and all those inappropriate things that those of us who have physical disabilities that people are always asking us questions about here. And when she asked me about my shoes, I realized then that fashion could be a conversation starter. After that, my perspective on fashion for myself changed. It changed on what I wanted to do for the community. And so the idea for my digital magazine started from there. It was a culmination of other aspects, which I'm sure we'll get in later episodes. But I started on that journey of I want to share my love of fashion with the rest of the community, sharing and saying that just because you're disabled, sitting or standing, whatever, however you want to say that, doesn't mean that you need to give up your sense of style, regardless of what the fashion industry or anybody says. Fashion is something that's supposed to be individualized, self expression, so personal, and so much fun. And we're here to show you that disability, mobility aid, whatever it is, fashion is fun and you can take part in that too if you want to.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I have one thing. I was about to say something about shoes in the end, and then you mentioned the girl that mentioned your shoes. I don't know about you, but shoes were always a touchy thing for me because to get around the AFOs, you had to wear sizes and
Oh
sizes
my
up.
god.
They were not cute shoes. They
They
were
were
like
ugly.
skater boy shoes. They were so ugly that I don't have to wear AFOs. I have so many pairs of shoes and I have an addiction to shoes, and my shoes need to match my outfit and all these things because I never got to wear cute shoes. And then there's some shoes I have that I don't walk the best in. And sometimes I just wear them in the wheelchair because I
Because they're
know I'm not going to
shoes.
be walking, and they're shoes. And they're cute. And
Shoes.
so, like, we could probably do a whole series on shoes
We could
and
really.
jeans and so many things.
No, I honestly I stopped wearing AFOs as a child because I was having issues with my feet. I didn't have to wear AFOs after that because they couldn't mold them to my feet. And the thing about it was we were so young and you don't want to stick out anymore and you're a little kid wearing these big bulky shoes that are so ugly and it's just it's not great. Now I'm glad that there's Billy footwear and they
Yes, there
do
wasn't that.
yeah, but I
And did you have the colorful AFOs? Sorry, I cut you off.
no, I had the white ones that you
Yes.
just And honestly, the process, I remember the guy coming in, and I would just go to the physical therapy room because they told me you could, and lying on the mat while he's wrapping this disgusting feeling texture on my foot. And of course, he was kind about it though. He's, I know it sucks, but I'm like, honestly though, I think that I was lucky in that department. I got great people who were like, okay, they realize they're working with kids who are not gonna like them at this point, but they get through it. But the shoes and the whole AFOs were completely. When I was done wearing them, I knew not wearing them was not great for me. But I was just like, I can wear shoes. That was my thing. You said shoes for you. Boots are my thing. I have so many boots, and I need help putting them on if I'm in my chair. And when I was going to school, I commuted to college. So my dad would help me and men in shoes, and he's like, "Why do you have all these? You don't need these many shoes." And I was like, "They're shoes."
Yes, you do.
When I was in school, my dad was the one helping me commute back and forth, driving me. So he'd be the one putting on my shoes most of the time. And when we're talking about shoes, we've both said that we are obsessed with shoes. We have so many, but boots are like my favorite thing. I honestly would wear boots in all the seasons if I could, but knee-high boots in like fall and winter are just, I want them all. When I was doing that for school, my dad was always, first of all, saying to me, "Why do you have so many shoes? You only have 2 feet that are not even touching the ground." One. And two, he would be like, "I'm not putting on these boots that don't have the zipper because at least, and men in shoes, at least if it was zipping down, it'd be easier to get my foot in. But if like from the top down, he's just like, why am I doing this?" And he would hold the boot and like just put my foot there and shake it and hope that gravity did the rest of the work to get my foot down in the shoe.
That is such a thing. I have these knee-high leather boots, and they're my absolute favorite. Like,
Yeah.
I wear them. I call them like my boss boots. Actually, I call them a different name, but this is not an explicit podcast, so we're just gonna leave it at that. And they're my favorite. If I need like confidence, everything, I love the boots. But I find I don't even know what to call it. Not a symptom of our disability, but
Byproduct?
Byproduct. Let's go with byproduct. That's a good word. A byproduct of it. I can't point my toes, and you probably are like the same. So your foot just stays straight, and so getting on any type of shoe is hard to do because we just don't have that mobility.
Yeah.
To move your foot. And I remember going into shoe stores and stuff, and it was always the hardest experience because shoes wouldn't fit the normal way. And if the salesperson was watching, they would be like, "Oh, put your foot this way, do this." It doesn't work. So
My
it's
foot
like
doesn't do that.
yeah, and it's super frustrating. And then like on top of it, you add the AFOs, which gave no room.
Got it.
They were literally plastic that like kept your like ankle in a certain position and your foot in a certain position. So there was no movement. You had a little bit, sometimes if you were lucky, you had that hinge at the back, so your ankle moved a little bit, but there's no way you were pointing your toes.
No hinge.
Yeah, I had no hinge for a period of time after surgery, but I've always had the hinge before. So that was like weird to get used to without the
I didn't even
hinge.
know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. And it was so weird to get used to after I'd had it and then didn't have it anymore. But like putting shoes on with AFOs, not only were they different sizes, but your feet don't move the same. So as soon as we don't have to wear those AFOs anymore, we want all the shoes. And I think that's the fashion part of us. Like you said, your dad's like, "Why do you have so many shoes? You only have 2 feet." They have to match the outfits. They have to.
Honestly, the other day I saw, and I'm saying that a few months ago, I saw these blue kind of Caribbean, this royal blue boot, and I was like, I want these. My mom's like, "Where are you going to wear that to?" And I was just like, "But the color is so pretty," and I was just like, I want it. People, if you're listening, I know I have some photos of me in my wheelchair, and like these boots match the base of my wheelchair. Not why I wanted to get them, but
That is
that was
exactly why
just
you
a
need
bonus.
them. You need them because they match the wheelchair.
That would have been just boots. It's just shoes, just all the shoes.
Yes, and if we think about it, we both had those white plastic AFOs. I think I did get some colored and fancy ones, but growing up, we never had the colored fancy ones. So like the our shoes, especially if we were wearing dresses or shorts or something, that's how we dressed those up because they were so ugly, white plastic, and it was so hard to keep clean and probably
Oh
easier
no,
for
see,
you, but
I didn't, once I was wearing them, I was like, I'm not wearing short. I didn't like showing them, so I wouldn't wear shorts, or it would just be like jeans. And I'm thinking about it now, if I had to wear them again, thankful I don't. But they would have worked well with the wide leg jeans, because that style would have right
fit
over them
them.
and been
Yeah.
okay. But then you would have had the shoe problem. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so glad I grew up in the era with the boot cut and flare jeans because that really helped fit things over. I still had to do like the bigger waistband and stuff, but that really did help. But the skater shoes that I always had to wear, I went from a size 8 ladies down to a 3.5 kids, and now depending on the shoe, I can wear anything from 2 to 4.5. So I have to try all the shoes on, but my foot is that small. So I was wearing a shoe that was like almost 4 times the size of like my actual foot. And then as a walking person, you have to accommodate for that in your step. And my stride is shorter because of my disability. So then tripping over my own 2 feet, ruining the toes of my shoes. Now I don't ruin shoes like that anymore, which is really nice.
I did that. Of course, I've shared that I don't walk for that aspect. But I used to like, I can do it if someone's holding me up. So when I'd come home from school, we had a family friend watching us. And when I was younger, it was easier to help because obviously I'm lighter. And so she would guide me to the steps and picking my foot up. I could not pick the front of my foot up. So I would pick it up and it's down and
Yeah.
dragging. And I would get so upset when this was my boots, like the front would be rubbed off a bit because of how my foot would drag up the step, and I
Yeah.
would just get so mad when I'd have to ruin shoes like that.
Yeah, my left foot turned in a little bit, and that's why I wore the twister cables is to pull out the left foot and get it better alignment. But like, it still did turn in a bit, and that was always like the shoe that had the worst damage on it because it would drag the most. And it was so frustrating. And you never wanted to spend money, good money on nice shoes and stuff because you knew you would ruin them. And now I don't care. I will spend the money on shoes because they'll last. But at that age, like I was going through shoes left and center because I would just wear through them so fast.
Yeah, it also reminds me of like helping me put on my shoes, and they tell me, they're like, push your foot down. I was like, my foot doesn't do that. I'm like, what? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, stop. That, if we're talking about pet peeves, that is one of my pet peeves. When someone's how they're like, put your foot. I'm like, my foot does not go down. If you tell me to do muscles with my feet, do something, my foot will go out. It does not go down. Like I pick my foot up and then relax the muscle or push it down a little bit in that sense. But picking my foot up is the opposite of trying to put the shoe on. So there's no point in doing that motion.
Right. And I think that's like definitely a big like cerebral palsy thing because cerebral palsy is such a neurological like disorder. Is that the right word? Disorder? Disability? I don't
I
know.
don't,
But it's lack of oxygen to the brain, similar to having a stroke. Cerebral palsy is parts of our brains have died. And so the brain muscle communication is not there. So as much as we have those muscles, I know they're supposed to switch off, and some of mine fire all the time, and some of mine don't fire at all. And then some of mine act like they're supposed to and they switch off. But that connection is not there. And so to really be able to do the thing like push your foot down, you like super have to concentrate. And it takes a lot of training to train your foot to do the thing your brain is telling it to do because sometimes those pathways are blocked. So they have to reroute themselves. So it's not going to be a small little thing. Maybe eventually one day you could do it, but it will take a lot of work to do. And so it's just not as easy as being like push your foot down type of a thing because our brains just don't work that way. And don't ask us to do anything else when you're asking us to do that until
exactly.
because we can't process. The brain needs to
Like
only be doing one thing.
when I'm doing something else and they're like my mom, I of course because she's my mom and she was helping me the most. She knows this. If I'm doing certain things, she knows not to ask me to do something else because A, I'm keeping my balance while all my other muscles are tensing up from doing this one thing. And she's like, why? I'm like, I don't. Just okay, I just know better. I'm like, yes, this is how this goes. Like she was asking me to do more exercises with my foot and just move your ankle around. And I was like, my feet don't do that. And what do you mean? And so I said, no, it only goes down. So she takes my like foot in her hand and she starts moving it. And I'm like, no, mom, it doesn't hurt. You can do that. Just I don't have the muscle capacity to do it myself.
And she can help you do it. And if she helps you do it and you think about it while it's happening, they say, and the only reason I know this is because I go to a neurophysiotherapist now because she specializes in this kind of thing. I'm learning a lot more. But like she will do some things and she's just watch and think about it. And it actually will start to retrain your mind. Again, it's not a quick thing. You have to do
Yeah.
it over and over again, but it really helps. And like when I'm at physio and she asks me to do some things, I'm like, sorry, I can't talk. It's just too many things to process at the same time. And then I always typically need a nap after, because as much as it's like a physical thing, it's such a mental thing too, that I need to rest my body. And that's a big thing with cerebral palsy too, because I think actually, oh my gosh, we've been talking about cerebral palsy, but we actually haven't told them that's how we met. We were alluding to it before and not saying it, but then we said it. So maybe we should tell them what our like exact diagnosis is, that kind of thing. And then I'll go into like more like of the history of what cerebral palsy is and why.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to
Do
start?
you want to go first? Okay, I'll go first then. I have cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia is how I'm going to say it today. It
Yes.
changes. It changes people. I don't know. And that's sad for me to say that about my own diagnosis name, but it's life. For me, it affects my legs and some of my arms. They say that's either quad or diplegia. I don't know. We're still going back and forth about like how it affects what and what the definition is. So me, that's mostly my legs. I've used a wheelchair all of my life for the first half of my teen years. That meant a manual wheelchair, and I loved racing around in that thing. Like it was so much fun. Like that was awesome. And my wheelchair was just what I would use to get anywhere and do anything that I couldn't. And for me, I loved it because when I was going fast, that meant easy workout. Now that I'm an adult and using my power chair, I have to work out traditionally, and let me just say that that is not my forte. I'm still working on it after all these years. I don't know if that's going to change, but we'll see. So I have used my power chair to basically get around. I do that because that means I have one hand free to do certain things, which has made my life easier. And when you're using a power chair versus a manual, going on grass is not that much of an issue. It is with a nightmare for a manual chair. So there are bonuses, but I honestly, if I could, I would have a manual chair to use at certain times because they can go in more vehicles and they're a workout bonus. But let me get back to my diagnosis. That's basically what I know about it, how it affects my legs. My arms don't straighten all the way, which I think is very interesting. It's like mostly there, but just not quite. I know my muscles in my hands get very tired very easily. Luckily, I type faster than I write anyway. So that's basically what it is. And for me, I have the startle reflex, which I like to call the CP sidekick,
Oh yeah.
which has made my life interesting in many ways that we can probably do another episode on. But that's basically what CP is for me. I don't even know where I would classify my severity because I know we've talked about that. So I'm not even going to jump into how that is because we don't understand it. And I'm saying that because although CP is one of the most common childhood disabilities, there's still not a lot understood about it because it is the brain, and anybody will tell you we do not know much about the brain. The brain does what it wants, and we're just trying to figure it out, and along for the ride.
Yes, we have cerebral palsy, and I also have spastic diplegia, and they told me mine was moderate, even when we've been discussing it. I really don't know. I have a twin sister, and she also has cerebral palsy. We were both born 8 weeks early. My sister kicked me out. That's how our cerebral palsy came to be, was like it was lack of oxygen as we were being birthed. And she has mild spastic diplegia and more on her right side. And like I said, my left foot turns in, so mine's more on my left, because we're like mirror twins in a way, not mirror twins in the sense of like twins, but if something happens on one side of her body or in one side of her mouth with teeth, you'll see it on the opposite side in mine. And that's what I mean by mirror twins. But they said hers was mild and mine was moderate. But if I look at those definitions, I don't see it because I feel I'm more high functioning than some of what those definitions are. And it could be that those definitions are out of date from when we were born and things like that. And so severity, everybody's relative, and it also depends on so many other factors. What you had available to you as a kid for therapies and stuff like that, that all makes a difference. Even lifestyle. I know, Kimberly, we were talking about how when you were in university, you said, and we might have mentioned this earlier on in the episode, but when you were in university, you were like, oh, the girls in the or anybody you saw in the power chair, girls, guys, whatever, you're like, more power to you, but I just couldn't do that. And I think that's also like a disability thing too, in a way. Not that it's like
Oh,
a
you mean
hand.
manual?
Did I say power?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I meant manual. Okay, yeah. So when you were around in university, you saw like all these people in like manual chairs getting from class to class, and you had your power chair. And you're like, more power to you. I couldn't do the manual with the hills and everything like that. But I think that's a factor of our disability too, because I think they say with people with cerebral palsy, they use what 3 to 5 times more energy than the like average person doing the normal thing. So if those manual chair users had a different disability, then yeah, they don't fatigue as easily, or they could not fatigue as easily. I don't know. We'd have to talk to them. And that's why they could get around so fast. And you're just like, gives me a lot of anxiety and like just makes me tired thinking about it. And I prefer my power chair because like it does wear us out. And I have a chair. I've had it. It'll be 3 years next November. And I got it because and I resisted it a lot. But I got it because my neurologist was like, if you ever get pregnant, we don't know if that's going to throw off your balance. You really should have one for long distances or just to reduce fatigue and different things. So I have a manual chair and with a power assist. So it's got like a motor attached to it. So I can do either or. And that, like, if you were looking for a manual chair, I would say still get one with the power assist because then, yes, it's easier to get into people's cars and things, but then you still have that power aspect of it so that we're not fatiguing as easily. And it's just like a lighter weight chair to use. I really like mine now, even though I resisted it a bunch. And that can be a whole other episode of things we like about our chairs and like things we wish we could do because like the AFOs, finally in the end, you could get designs on them. I had daisies at one point, like Gerber daisies, different colored ones, even though I wanted neon orange with soccer cleats because tomboy. But that wasn't very pretty. And then I had my next set I had after surgery was this almost checkered pattern, but it wasn't checkered. It was like an abstract over like different colors and squares, and it almost looked like that when they cast your legs, like that plaster that they put on, it almost looked like that, but like overlapping. But obviously not the feeling of the plaster on your legs. But that's what it looked like.
You see how yucky that feeling was? I have not that since elementary school, and I can still remember that textured feeling. It stays with you. It's sad, and honestly, if you do AFOs now and it's different, I am so happy for you. I'm like, no. But back to the wheelchairs, I just want to say I was relating to so much to it when you were talking about how your wheelchair lets you do certain things and there's certain things you wish you could do. I have a question. I have one hand free with my power chair now. Why is it people still think I can, like, I'm not a person who gets messed up on the verb, so I'm just going to say walk for this. If I'm walking with someone who is actually, and we're going to call them able-bodied for this, but who's able-bodied and walking, and they're like, oh, let's grab some food and we can walk and eat. I'm like, I need one hand to hold the food, the other hand to use a utensil to bring this food to my mouth, and another hand to control my chair. That is not happening because the food is not going, like, this doesn't work. Walking and eating as a wheelchair user is not a thing that I can do. I don't know if some people have somehow managed it some other way. If you have, please let me know your secret so I can add anything that I can do, but I no.
Even as an ambulatory wheelchair user, because I can walk and then I use the chair at interchangeably. That's what ambulatory means. If little vocabulary lesson. I just learned that term a couple years ago when I got my chair. Even as an ambulatory wheelchair user and being somebody with cerebral palsy who walks around, I don't carry cups. If I go to a coffee shop, it needs to have a lid. It can't not have a lid. Most of the time, if we're actually walking, I probably won't get a coffee unless we're not walking very far, because if we're going to be doing a lot of it, like sometimes I feel like unsteady, and I just don't want to subject myself to that, because then that leads to more falling and you feel less confident. Then I feel like everybody's staring at me, and it just leads to a whole like laundry list of different things. So on my wheelchair, I do have a cup holder because with the power assist, I still need both of my hands to steer the wheels on the side. I have to turn the wheels and stuff and keep it straight. I do have a cup holder and that helps a lot, but still, I wouldn't be able to walk and I say walk too, because our wheelchairs become our legs when we're in them. So I think it still fits. But I wouldn't be able to walk and eat at the same time. It's very much, we have to park and do it. I could do it if we're parked, but yeah, definitely
I'm
not
like,
a walking
I
and eating
can
person.
sit, I'm like, if you want to stand here somewhere and eat and we'll talk and eat, great, but I cannot be moving and walk a block while we're eating ice. No, it's not happening unless you or I wants to wear the food, and I'm not messing up my outfit for that.
Yeah, no. I've fallen many a times with ice cream, and if there's anything you know about
Oh.
me, I will hold it up in the air and save the ice cream, but I will be scraped from like head to toe because like I will save I love ice cream. I'm saving my snack. My body will, my clothes will be all scraped up and scuffed up. So do I want to do it? No. But have I done it? Yes. And that's where I've learned that it's not the safest thing for me to do. But being the daredevils that we are, sometimes we try to just attempt
Yeah.
things to be more normal. Yeah. Independent. Yes.
I like independent over normal.
Yeah. Independent.
I think your normal is what it is to you.
Yeah. I think normal's relative and it's more independence and to fit in with the crowd that we're around. I don't know. I see lots of people doing things and I'm like, one day I want to try it. And so then I try it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
This is true.
Sometimes we find new ways to do the same thing. And like we've said, it doesn't look pretty. It's not the same way other people would do it, but we get it done. And then that's the whole, we have a newfound independence factor.
Or at the very least, you end up with a story for Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, yes. Like a really good story for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically our cerebral palsy diagnosis. And that's how we met. We met in a Facebook group for people with cerebral palsy. And it was weird because those Facebook groups for me are very triggering. So, the fact that we connected and we're such great friends now is an amazing thing. But I sometimes avoid those Facebook groups a lot. And I went in there because somebody was like, just do a post about your style guides, do some styling stuff, just so you can get some more like credibility, get some more market research and stuff. And so I did. And I think Kimberly, you commented on it. And then I was also in that group searching other style. You can search Facebook groups. So I was searching styling things and I found your post about your magazine. And so I commented on that. And then we started chatting in the DMs and then we're let's chat over a video call. And so we did a video call and ended up like hitting it
Chatting
off
for like nearly 2 hours.
Yes. And now here we are both like really into fashion, really into styling, have I don't want to say the same condition, like similar conditions, because it's the same, but it affects us both somewhat differently. So having that person you can talk to and vent to, or even just ask questions about, hey, do you ever experience this? Or how do you deal with this and that? Like having that girlfriend, because honestly, a lot of my friends are guys, so you can't always talk about girly things with the guys. It's been super nice to be like able to be like, hey, did you have this? What is it like for you or vice versa? And I know we've been talking about a lot of things and like you've asked me questions and I've asked you questions. It's just been super nice to keep talking and we could talk forever about all the things. And because we love fashion and we both, I think your brand colors are what? Like pink and green.
The main ones anyway.
Yeah. And like my brand colors are pink, a lot of pinks. So we really connect on that level too of we're both entrepreneurs, we both have our own business. We're both trying to make an impact and raise awareness for people with disabilities and not just I'm more CP based in general just because of the goals and things I want to do in my business. I only know CP. I don't want to talk about other disabilities that I don't know as much about, but totally open to bringing other partners in that know more about those so that they can speak to those. But your like Sitting Beauty magazine is more all sorts of disabilities, bringing awareness to all that. And I think that's where we connect a lot too, is like we can collaborate together and support each other that way. Because I know we both have big dreams and goals. For myself, I want to do a full service treatment facility with physio, aquatic therapy, equine, chiropractor, massage, spa, everything all in one spot so people can come and get their therapies or come up with a treatment plan that's specific to them. And then also do have that adaptive fashion line that's like more customized. And so having you as a friend and a confidant, like you can help me learn more about what's available in other areas and locations, and I can showcase your magazine and say, hey, like here's a resource like for XYZ, like it's already been published here, and that gives credibility to some things. And I know you wanted to do other things other than Sitting Beauty.
Yes, first of all, Sitting Beauty will be covering your fashion line when it comes out, whenever that may be. But I have Sitting Beauty magazine that I'm working on right now, and that's my main focus. But I did name my company Sitting Beauty Media because I do plan on expanding. I don't know if what exactly that means. It can mean products, it could mean an expansion of the magazine towards a podcast. Not to compete with this one, I don't know, but we'll see how that goes. I'm learning as I'm going along, trying new things and seeing what would work best for me as a disabled entrepreneur and the brand and what my audience would love to see.
Yes. And if you do a podcast for Sitting Beauty, go for it. I have my other podcast. It's called Living in a Handicapable World and Beyond. And it actually started out as a blog years ago. Years and years ago. It started out as a blog when blogging first became popular. And then I finished university. I started working in the corporate world and I just couldn't keep up with it. So I turned it into a podcast. But it's my life journal of like things I experience as somebody living with cerebral palsy. And I say handy capable because I think like that we are all capable of doing whatever we want to do. Tell me I can't do something and I'll tell you to watch me because I will prove you wrong. I will find a way to do it. And it might not be this year, but it might be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I will make it happen. If I set my mind to it, I will do it. And I think we're both the same in that aspect. I feel like even a Sitting Beauty podcast would be a really good compliment to everything that you're doing.
Yeah, we'll see where this journey takes me. Like I said, my focus right now is the magazine, and it's been an interesting experience and everything. As of this podcast recording, I just released the anniversary issue for Sitting Beauty magazine. So I've officially been doing this for a year. It's been an amazing roller coaster of a ride, of a journey. For this magazine, I had not expected a lot of the experiences I had over this past year. It's been a learning experience. It's been so much fun, so challenging, and helped me grow not only as a person and an entrepreneur. I feel like getting on this path, even though I fell into it, and we can sit down and talk about our entrepreneurial journeys another day, but
Definitely.
I fell into entrepreneurship, but it's been one of the best experiences for me so far, and I'm really excited to see what comes next for this next year, for my magazine, for our podcast, and beyond that.
And yes, we're bringing you guys all along for the ride. You're here now. We're actually recording this on Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day and releasing it on Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, which was the goal. Because we both have cerebral palsy, we're both entrepreneurs. We really wanted to do something that highlighted both of our loves, like fashion and entrepreneurship, and just there's so many things going on in the world of fashion, adaptive fashion, going on in the world of accessibility and adaptive tools, locations. There's so much we could get into, and we just wanted a place where we could discuss it and be that sounding board for you, or answer your questions, ask our questions, feedback from the community, because like we said, there's so much we still don't know. So if you know how to do something or it's worked for you, please share it with us because we will probably try it. If we can do it, we'll try it. And we'd love to know. We'd love to be a support for you because like we found this friendship and we love it and we just want to share it. So yeah, we're going to bring you along for the ride for our entrepreneurial journeys, our fashion journeys, our fashion fails, wins.
There were mishaps.
Yes.
Half wins.
Half wins. Things that like almost quite worked, like lots of things, or like things we tried and just it was a flop or didn't realize it was going to be a win. There's going to be lots of those things too in this podcast. We're really hoping that you'll join us along for this journey, subscribe, ask your questions, be really interactive about it. We would love that. So if we're talking about the podcast, actually, let's do that a little bit. Let's talk about what they can expect with the podcast. So the episodes will be weekly. We'll be releasing the episodes weekly. So today is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day. This is the teaser episode that you're getting, so you know what to expect in some of our upcoming episodes, and it will expand. Episodes will be weekly. They're gonna be short and sweet, hopefully no more than 20 minutes. We talk a lot, so we say hopefully because that could be wrong. And then
we aim for.
That's what we aim for. And we're probably going to do a 10, 12 episode season, and then we'll take a little break and come back. So we'll be releasing some more episodes later this week to get you a head start on things. And then after that, They will be coming out weekly. So we really hope that you enjoy this podcast, subscribe, share it with some friends, leave us a review, ask us questions, all of the things.
Join us on this journey as we're just rewriting the rules of fashion.
Yes, we're definitely rewriting the rules and breaking the barriers of the status quo because we both don't believe in the status quo. Status quo doesn't fit for people with disabilities. Isn't that what you said the
Yes,
other day?
as I'm sure you all know, you're all discovering or know already. So if that's what you're looking for, then we hope that you stick around and stick with us and just enjoy the ride.
All right, so we will see you guys soon, and yeah, enjoy. Let us know what you think of this episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.